Hey everybody, welcome to the Black Lives Matter discussion group. Today we're going to be discussing healing connection. We have been talking about connection since our last meeting where we were having some connection issues. Some people are dropping out, some people's computers weren't working, and we were seeing like maybe there's a deeper issue here. Because we were going into the topic of connection, and like releasing attack, because that's a really important part of being able to connect with others is like by allowing yourself to just like take all the guards down and be like open and trusting that you won't get hurt if you are having a conversation that might be uncomfortable or with someone who may not have the same views as you. And when you're putting a wall up, it's hard to have that kind of conversation. And we wanted to show a video today. It's the series done called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And he has a ton of great videos with lots of uncomfortable conversations that you don't normally see. And we wanted to show the one on with him talking to police. And we wanted to expand on that conversation so it can be fully healed there. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Marley. Yes, and I think part of why the video kind of stood out was that at the end of the video, there is a deep desire for connection, even from the police. So I think it fits perfectly into our theme and into our healing process today. So I'm going to play the video and then we will continue our conversation from there.
Nick, I'll go back to you. How do you feel when you hear the phrase Black Lives Matter?
Black lives do matter. We need to pay attention to some of the injustices that have happened over, the last 100 years and beyond. Where Black Lives Matter becomes confusing is when it becomes very divisive. Right now, in the midst of a political election, there's questions on whether Black Lives Matter is a social movement or is it a campaign. And I think when we pass the November elections, I think we need to focus on continuing it as a movement so we can create a successful outcome. Because if it ends on the election, then it was just a campaign.
You have some, I know.
Yeah, I mean, so the blue Lives Matter flag, right? The blue line, either on a flag or just black, blue, black, has taken on kind of a life of its own. Politically, currently, it's obviously flying on one side of the political boundary as opposed to the other. So when you see that, what do you see?
I feel frustrated because I feel as though the agenda is being moved. Here's what I mean by that. To say any life matters is to assert that we thought that life didn't matter. So to say that blue lives matter would then assert that historically we've acted as though cops' lives don't matter. Whereas Black Lives Matter, historically, we have literally acted as though Black lives don't matter. All men are created equal. Late 1700s, we donned that phrase. They weren't talking about black men, weren't talking about black women, weren't talking about women, but we said all men are created equal. So now it's like, wait a second. Just in case they're not talking about us this time, let's make sure we specify that Black Lives Matter. Ryan, earlier you mentioned preparation and you talked about funding and you talked about preparing as a unit to step onto the scene. What do you feel when you hear the phrase defund the police?
I think it means different things to different people. People who feel that, who want to literally take some of the responsibility we have as police officers and move it to somebody else. I'll be first in line to sign up for that. Like, go ahead. That's great. That's a great idea. So we get a lot of calls with people who have mental health crisis. Who's going to go to those calls? If you have somebody that is able and willing to go to them, that's great. The problem is it's not black and white where it's like, oh, these are just mental health calls. If you have a mental health call with somebody and they have a knife, the social worker's not going to go. Once we make the scene safe, then we call them and say, hey, I got so-and-so down here. Can you come down here and talk to them and kind of work through their issues?
But defund the police doesn't upset you when you hear it.
Abolish the police upsets me, but defunding us, I mean, if other people can handle some of these calls, then that's fine. And again, if you're telling me there's a way somebody else can handle some of this stuff, I'm all for it.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard it like that before.
Manuel, for a long time, I didn't know how to process it. I didn't know how to take it. When I hear the defund thing, I feel like some of our communities are abandoning us. Prior to May 2020 and George Floyd, we were in the midst of a pandemic. We were doing the best we can for our community. People were showing up to the station, bringing us treats. We were heroes. After that, they want to defund us. It hurts.
Why does it hurt?
Because I feel like for 15 years, we've made, and I can speak to, all my partners in the room, we've made a lot of sacrifices to be a part of the community, to try to help people. And it felt like people were turning their backs on us. We're not perfect, but I don't think we're at a point where we can just abandon what we've built. We want to be a part of the solution. We understand that relationships are important, and inherently it's about trust.
Nick, can you speak to that? Because you are actively in the field, how it makes you feel knowing you're sacrificing every day in the field, but then you might come home and see on the news or see on social media that defund the police is being chanted around the world. How does that make you feel?
So my initial response was visceral, and it made me upset. Moving forward, looking into what actually defunding the police is not abolishing the police or getting rid of the police. It's restructuring policing in America. 2 weeks ago, I was doing traffic control for a women's rally, protest, and march in the city of Petaluma. Many of the occupants of the rally had signs, defund the police. The interesting thing with our community is while they're holding signs, chanting, defund the police, they're walking over and saying, thank you for your services and thank you for being out here. That's kind of a paradigm shift and threw me for a loop when somebody is coming and thanking me while they're holding a sign that I'm supposed to be offended by. Again, it comes down to communication and dialogue and creating that opportunity, but it's not a scary term anymore.
Now, on a more broad scale, if you could communicate a more public message to black children who live in fear of the police, what would you, Brandon McGovern, say?
That's incredibly difficult for me to say because all communities are different. But from an umbrella standpoint, we're here for you, right? Look at it. Look at us like a teacher. Look at us like a counselor. Like we want to be the person that you call, the person that when we show up, you run to us. It's like we're not there to be mean. We're there because we're here to help. And I want all of the kids to know. I mean, it's black kids in particular pertaining to this. Is like we're there. We're here to help you. And I'm sorry that this is currently what you see us as.
You think we'll ever get to that point where black children look to cops as helpers as opposed to is the enemy?
In my lifetime, no. It has come in waves and it has disappeared, and now it's back, right? It hides. Mm-hmm. And it only takes a George Floyd or something else to bring it back. I don't know how we can get rid of it. How do we abolish racism? How do we abolish, violent police tendencies? I don't know.
Garrett, you seem like more of an optimist. How would you answer that question? Do you think we can ever get rid of the notion that black children are growing up in America viewing police officers as threats and as the enemy?
I do, I am an optimist. We're completely bombarded in the media with some of these incidents that are happening are terrible, but that's not the overwhelming majority of the police contacts that we have throughout the community. For example, last year we had 60,000 calls for service, 2,000 arrests, and only 48 of them resulted in a use of force. So what the reality is that we're having a lot of positive interactions with people every day. It's just how do we portray that? How do we get it out there to let people know that that is in fact the case? There is going to be unfortunate incidents. I don't think we're going to get away from that. It's just how we deal with those when they come up.
That's good. I think people underestimate the fact of just because y'all are in uniform does not mean that y'all are not human. Yes, y'all are held to a higher standard because y'all are the front-facing aspects of the government, but y'all are not exempt.
You brought up a question earlier about the black kid running up to the white police officer. Right? I want to be the person that somebody comes running up to, high fives, looks forward to guidance and so forth. How does a white officer in America bridge that gap so that a black juvenile will look to them as a role model, as a person that is positive in the community?
That's a really good question. I think first you do it on an individual level. That has to permeate society. There's a reason whenever you see a cop playing a sport with somebody in the neighborhood, the video goes viral. Because it's like a far-fetched idea. Bad news sells way better than good news. We don't do a good enough job collectively as a country is letting the good news resonate. So you do it on an individual level until it begins to become a societal thing. Because all it takes is one George Floyd situation to undermine the entire situation. John, what would you say this dialogue has done for you?
I think it's opened up a different perspective of maybe what certain people might feel or the way they look at police officers, really. I think that they will see that we're human. But I also think that it's opened our eyes to say, hey, look, there is this major problem in this country. I think back about Colin Kaepernick taking a knee and how when that started, I was pissed. I was like, are you kidding me right here? Like, this felt like a shot to us. And then as things progressed and you started seeing things in the country, it wasn't until I just watched a movie, it's called Chicago 7, I don't know if you've seen it, then it clicked in my mind that that's not a shot at me, that's a shot at the system.
Yeah. Brennan, what would you say the conversation has done for you, the dialogue?
I wish we could have this conversation with anybody who wants to, and I hope that obviously in this venue that people see it and they realize that, hey, if they want to come talk to us, they can. We can't be part of the solution if we're part of the problem. So you bringing us on here has at least, opened a door.
Garrett, how would you say it's if it all opened your eyes?
Yeah, I think gaining some situational awareness, and when you talk about how we're perceived by black people when we show up on scene, having an understanding of the difference there is very important. Can lead us to removing some barriers to communication, which ultimately we want to have.
Yeah. Gentlemen, all I have to say is thank y'all. Thank y'all for your service. Thank you for the dialogue. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you all, men, women alike, for listening. I think that this is what we need more of. And thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man. If we are going to achieve racial reconciliation in our world, it starts with our police officers. It starts with our black men and women. It starts with white people, black people having conversations and coming together for the betterment of the world around us. We'll see you next time.
So yeah, I think that was quite a nice introduction to our conversation today. And I think that the thing that stood out for me was the content at the end more than the content at the beginning, in terms of there is a desire to connect and there is a desire to heal the connection and to kind of discount somebody's humanity because they're not like you is to almost discount the desire to connect and the desire to want to heal in that space. And so I want to just open it up to everybody else. I'm like, how do you feel about what has been said and feeling into that desire to connect? What does it mean to you in the context of this conversation?
What it brought up for me is like it's at the end you could tell just like how much they both wanted the same thing. They like both don't like ego, they don't like the system, which is like based in ego, and they want to come to a solution. And obviously there's blocks to work through that, but yeah, I think that's like such an important part of healing is like recognizing like they're also a child of God. They want to be with God too. Maybe they have some upsets with being with God. That's okay. Everyone does. But yeah, it's just like about recognizing like the humanity, they said, like that everyone is a child of God. And yeah, that's super helpful for the healing.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say something as well. And I'm hoping it doesn't bring us off topic, but kind of like brings maybe an alignment to another piece of the conversation. But something that's been really coming up within consciousness has been around truth in media. And I really found it interesting that they talked about media and like saying how media is always promoting when there's all these problems happening with police officers and things like that, which it's good. It's good that we know that these things are happening, right? Like I don't want to see us pushing things under the rug. Obviously, media is using this as a way to like rile people up and get people upset. But what I was more interested in was like how they were like, well, why isn't there a spread of understanding what it looks like for police departments who are not doing those things? And why aren't we talking about those scenarios and those situations? And yeah, it was like in that place that I really was like feeling into of I choose to end my relationship with drama, because I feel like that's like the thing that society is continually being faced with. Like, do you want the truth? Do you want the solution, or do you want the drama? And so like I find that the healing and that we've cultivated here has been very focused on finding a solution. And we were talking about this right before the call started, rather than getting riled up about the new thing in the news that happened to some young man, because that actually brings the healing and makes a change. You're gonna say something?
Yeah, I don't know where this fits into what you're saying, but I just wanted to say what came up for me.
Sure.
And it comes up for me in other areas of my life too, is like that one person fucked it up for everyone.
Yes.
Like this happened in high school, elementary school, and the cops are experiencing that now because it's like there's so many good police officers out there, but then like that one thing happens and then it's like, oh, you're all bad. They're all bad, and like clearly like these police officers are good police officers, and they're like, we care about our community, and like we're hurt that everyone sees us this way. So like that's really what came up for me, is like this one thing just messing it up for everyone.
Wow.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
I'd love to say something that I love to what Ray said. And what came up for me was the desire of love. It was so clear. You can see that both sides, they want the same thing. You can see their energy. Yeah, and that guy, he represents the Black community as a whole. So he represents the majority, and those police officers the same. They represent the majority of the police officers. And I think what's going on is like the fear in the collective that love hurts, and the desire of connection is literally sitting together and talking to our desires. Like, we want the same things. We want peace. We want to have a connection because you are the same as me. We are one here. We are not separated from each other. And I think I was getting quite emotional because I think the core of this is healing separation. We are healing separation between, between people and between our community. I think this is a very deep healing, and I think we are part of it. We are doing a very good job here, and it's showing up on the outside.
I have to agree. One thing that shocked me a little bit in the video is that the cops were kind of going through the same emotions as we did in this discussion. Like it was, for example, okay, at first I was pissed, but then I educated myself. And then I saw that the system was failing us as a whole. And then how do I get to know this young Black person without them hating me? And well, it has to begin with myself as an individual. And it was kind of beautiful to see because it was exactly the same things that we were saying. And as the Black man said, like it's just like seeing them as humans and also realizing that it is not like they are the people that we are, I don't know, meeting daily. Like they are in our communities, our cities, our counties. They're not the bad cop over there that did the bad thing. They're not this far-fetched reality that we see only in the media. And yeah, that was really humbling to see. And yeah, even though it seemed like at the beginning it was like, oh, they were pissed, so they are never gonna listen to what the Black community has to say. They actually brought up some really good points and ones that surprised me as well.
And the nice thing about all the points that all of you have brought up so far is it ties in so perfectly with our first card. Our first card is manifestation power. And it literally says, use your spiritual gifts and natural abilities to attract your desired outcome. Which just shows us again the power of our co-creation ability in this space. And even in terms of just the connection, we can manifest a connection very quickly and very easily, just purely through our intention, which is literally what we're sitting here and doing. This is why we are here. We are trying to manifest a new reality for everybody. We are cleaning up the illusion of the attack. We are cleaning up the illusion of the separation. We are cleaning up the illusion of the difference that keeps us away from each other, as opposed to the difference that allows us all to contribute perfectly together.
I love that card. It kind of goes with a couple things that I'm thinking. So my initial response from the video was it was really good in terms of just being able to sit down and have police officers talk. And I'm a fan of courageous conversations. But one thing that stood out was the police officer. One question was asked is, do you think in this lifetime that I think it was that Black children will see police officers like differently? And his response was, not in his lifetime. Yeah, I think he responded, not in his lifetime. I don't think so. And stuff like that irks me because, or responses like that irks me because I'm an idealist, I'm a manifested, like, you know, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, when things are like doubtful or look hard or look challenging, it's like, I don't have any other choice but to believe for like what I want. And we almost have to bring that consciousness, like him as a police officer, if he doesn't believe it's going to happen in his lifetime, that means like his next interaction with, you know, a Black person or whatever, he's like not feeling that, you know, that could change or that relationship can change. And so we have to believe that it can. You know, we have to believe that it can happen like right now. We have to believe that it can happen tomorrow, because there's no alternative other than to believe that. And so we do have to hold that manifestation and spread it everywhere we go, if you will. The other thing I thought of is that we're invited, and it's also because I'm like dealing with something else right now too, but we're also invited, I think, for police officers to humility, and to humbly, like there was a lot of humility in that video for those police officers, to just courageously answer those questions, to courageously speak on them and just answer honestly. And it's going to take humility to do that, because you're saying that there is a problem and I want to be a part of the solution. I love what the guy said, that, we want to be part of the solution. And so it's just going to take a lot of humility, because it's such an authoritative role that humility, I think, is just going to be really important, for us all, but really in particular for police officers. So
Yeah, that's perfect, because that's our next card. And
what does it say?
It says, vacuum away fear. Call upon archangels Michael and Raphael to lift fear-based energy from you, your surroundings, this situation, and everyone involved. I think it fits perfectly in with where you were going with the conversation, in that I choose to believe that this is the way it's going to be, because there is no alternative. I have no fear of this situation because I choose a healthier alternative.
Yeah, that's good. Popcorning Drake or Deji?
Okay. So similar, it was actually similar to what, actually I'll start from Eurene, because what she pointed out was what I was going to point out, about, I'm sorry, my mind just went blank for a second. Give me a second. Whoa, that was so weird. I'll start with Kalita. Yeah, similar to what you just said about making that choice, that made me look at myself for a second, because for a second, I kind of agreed with that cop saying that, like, not in this lifetime, because it's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to just magically happen. However, I have to look at myself and say, well, is this really what I want to choose? And there was a part of me that did it, and that didn't feel good. So I said, okay, yeah, vacuum away. Similar to what the car said, manifestation power, and vacuum away fear and make that choice. So yeah, obviously it's not going to happen quick, snap of fingers. But then again, God works in mysterious ways. So yeah, I had to look at myself and make that choice of wanting to make that connection with, Caucasians and, the Caucasian community and police officers. So yeah. Okay, Drake, your turn.
Okay, where do I want to start? I went blank. Hold on, I had it.
Your mind went blank too, right?
Yeah, I had it. Hold on, it's coming back.
You guys are presenting the perfect opportunity to heal that connection just in your thought process alone. So I'm going to popcorn Ray and Anastasia to lead you through this, healing that connection.
Okay. So how are you feeling, Drake?
I was kind of frustrated because I was just thinking of what I was gonna say, and then when I wanted to say it, didn't come out. Kind of just so.
Okay. So you're frustrated with yourself.
Yeah, because
Do you have like an expectation of how you should like look or talk or any of that?
yeah, I feel like there's I'm responsible to like help the world heal, but like that's God's job.
Yeah, you're like just doing it by being yourself. So do you choose to release all expectations of yourself?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So what do you need to feel loved here?
Just that just it's safe to have faith and safe to trust God and that God's doing what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just give yourself all the love and trust that you need here. Is there anything else coming up for you where you feel better?
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say now.
Oh, great. Perfect. Take it away.
Well, I feel like the root of connection is like obviously connecting with God. And the reason why a lot of people are resistant to connection is because they don't want to connect with God, or they associate God with fear and attack, right? But what we were healing through is that they feel like if they connect in that area or they're intimate and vulnerable in that area, then they're going to be attacked and they're going to be abused, because that's what many people experience, even though it's not real. But as I was watching the video, it was just clear that both sides do want to heal, and that's not what we have to find, but to look for the people that seek the truth and that want to do the work, right? Because and we were talking about this before we went live. It's like, well, why aren't people watching? Like, what's going on? It's the connection thing, and I feel like we have one side, right? We have the the work and what we're doing, but then the other side, like the policeman, I feel like it's time for us to call in the policeman, right? To be here with us. I feel like that is our next step, because that's a step in us going deeper into connection and looking into that side and what that brings up, because they obviously have healing to do there too, and we can help them access, because they have the important piece too, and we both have to work together if we are going to heal this, because we're going to heal it, but like Khalida said, it's going to take work, and we can't just like sit and we got to do the work and be open to where the work leads us, like who it leads us to. And it may not be someone that we expect. It may be someone who's really resistant, someone who doesn't want to heal. But that's where God comes into play, because God's perfect and he always is going to pick the right person. And I think it's very humbling to me, right? To even like think about the other side, because I used to be the type of person that I just get angry all the time, and I was like, no, I don't want to see the other side. And this was just in like like with my parents, or when they presented something against what I thought was right, I just didn't want to really look there. So it's been really healing for me to just heal that within myself and see other people heal that too, and really want to connect, because again, the core of connection is connection with God. And that's just plays a huge part, because you're seeking the truth. And even though ego can be really loud, it won't win. Love always wins, right? Like with the media, we were talking about the media. The media just wants to promote separation. They don't want to heal. They just want drama, right? Because that's what the world is so used to feeding off of, right? Like, the high energy, everybody feeds off of that, but that's not how you heal. So it's not our jobs, but God through us to help the world heal separation. And, like I said, we're going to have our media, right? The true media come out, however that looks. So we can be in charge of helping the media and, healing the separation within ourselves, so that can reflect, if that makes sense. But it's just, it's really good. I think what we're doing here, it just connects to everything. What we heal in Black Lives Matters, what we're healing with Vanity Fair, it's just everything, and it's perfect. And it's just about claiming the power, because that's why we're all here, right? Is to heal separation in every single area of the world. And that's why we all play such an important role in that. and it's safe to recognize that we are powerful here, and we are, you know, essentially leaders of this work, and it's okay to share that. It's okay to share the truth, because the people that want the truth are going to hear it and they're going to say, oh, okay, they know what they're talking about. And yeah, so if you have blocks to that, right, feeling like you can't speak, or maybe you feel like you're going to attack somebody, right, with the truth, you're not. Like, God wants you to share that truth. It's important. It's a valuable piece. And that's why that video is so important, because both sides are just like being vulnerable. They're sharing what's on their heart, you know, and they're opening themselves up completely to that with, you know, without fear. And you can sense like some of them are a little resistant, but at the core, they're both choosing love. So yeah, I think that's all I have.
And that is your card. That is your card. Listen to your intuitive feelings. And it literally says your body is receiving accurate messages from the divine.
Cool.
Which just brings the connection that Kalida popcorn Deji popcorned you, and we just had the next piece of healing presented perfectly, because all of you listened to your intuitive feelings.
I want to add on to what you just said, Drake. Now the brain fart just came back. Now I know what I was going to say. So I was going to talk about what Yureen said about the police officer who got pissed at, you know, Collins taking a knee movement of what happened. And that made me think about, obviously, you know, that didn't feel good, and he got pissed and he didn't understand it at first, but then it made me look at myself like, okay, we as the Black community understand why he took that knee, but at the same time, I feel like there's a part of everyone in the Black community that was choosing a little bit of separation, because we had this mindset that, you know, Caucasians weren't going to understand why we did what we did. And obviously it manifested because, you know, the president said some shit, this police officer said something, and it just manifested what we thought. So that made me think that, yeah, manifestation power, we were manifesting separation consciousness. So yeah, that's what I was going to add on to what you just said about, you know, that power and manifestation. That's it.
Yeah, that's perfect. And what came to me is that you know, the people that see, like, you know, when Colin was kneeling, like I saw that and I was like, oh, I know what he's doing, because I was looking with my heart, right? I wasn't looking with my mind or with ego. I was seeing at the core what he was choosing, and then I was like, oh, okay, I can stand by that. And that's why you can see these, again, like the police officers and, you know, the Black man that was interviewing them, they're all making the same core choice. And that's how you can recognize who's choosing, you know, unity and who's choosing separation. But you have to be willing to see with your heart. And a lot of people are resistant to that. And that's okay, because it's healable. And again, that's why it's important for us to share, because you can reach somebody that is having that block, and they can be like, oh, okay, now I know. Because it is something you heal through, right? The more you heal, the more you connect with God, the more you can see with your heart. And it's just, again, it's healing. I feel very just grateful that I can touch somebody in that way so they can change their mind. And you see people change their mind every day, right? I know somebody that was very like against Black Lives Matter, and you know, I talked to them and I was like, well, what are your views? Like, what's going on here? What's really going on? And you know, help them heal. And then they were like, oh, now I can see what this really is about. And, you know, taking somebody into their heart and basically like bringing them back to God, you know, taking them to God and letting God talk to them. and that's just a very beautiful thing. So I just wanted to bring that up too. It's about seeing with your heart. So,
Yeah, I know a similar situation to that. I mean, it's not someone I know personally. There's this football player by the name of Terrell Owens. He was a Trump supporter back in 2016. He voted for him, saying, "Oh, he's gonna he's gonna kill it. Like he's gonna run it like a business." Da 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 da. But then, hello, 4 years later, man, get him out the White House. Okay, so yeah, similar to what you said, seeing it with your heart.
I can relate to absolutely everything that Drake and Ted just said, and I want to share something that is kind of related to connection and everything that was spoken. And yeah, at first when I was writing the caption for today's discussion, and we were speaking about film collection, and at the same time, you know, watching this video, I didn't understand the connection between the two. And when the video started, I finally understood, because some of the cops were saying, you know, we're good people and we want to be part of a solution. And one part of me was like, but yet still, like, Black people are dying.
I said the same shit. I said the same thing. I said the same thing.
And I was like, God damn it, this isn't healed. Damn it. And yeah, I was pissed at myself, and I was like, this is why the video like has blown me away, because they laid down all their weapons. They were able to be vulnerable, to talk about healthy yet uncomfortable subjects. They were able to be, they were powerful because they were humbled enough to sit down to have this discussion. And I will never forget what I learned a few weeks ago, is that the person with the most power is the person who holds peace. And the person who holds the peace isn't like necessarily like the Black person that was hurt and is demonstrating. It can be a Black person, it can be a policeman, it can be someone like a political figure, but like it doesn't matter. Like if you are human enough to, loving enough to lay down all your weapons and just like choose love and heal this separation that we're so used to putting like between everyone, like it changes everything. And the things that I want to say is that this codes like changed something for me. Like it was my first time seeing this video, because like I didn't like stop to watch it, even though I saw it on YouTube like before. And yeah, we, in some ways, like just sitting down like that and being powerful, they did their part. They expressed themselves, and it touched people and connected us.
Yeah, I wanted to like add off what you were saying. Something that I noticed in the dialogue was there were some moments where there was a choice in like victim mentality. Like even as they were discussing the Blue Lives Matter and stuff like that, like I think that there's still this victim mentality on all sides, which is what causes like a halt on a solution. Which is kind of like what you were like, why hasn't this healed yet? Like, I think it's because we're actually, you know, and this is correlated to like the last couple of, you know, videos we've done, where, you know, we're healing powerlessness, right? Like you would only feel like a victim if you felt powerless. And you would think that like someone's pity for you would somehow give you power. But it's unnecessary, because your power comes from God. And so like no one's there is no sides. There is no black and white. There is no bad, good, evil, whatever, right? There's just a choice in peace, as you said, and the person who holds the peace is like the person who is right. And then there's the person who is coming into the alignment of peace due to the dialogue and conversation they're having with the person who is in peace, right? Like there's a union happening. And so, yeah, I think like the next step of that dialogue and the next step of the healing is to just like I choose to release my relationship with the idea of like victimhood. I choose to claim my power, because we are all powerful divine children of God, and there is literally no reason why any of us should feel like a victim to anything. And yeah, so there's that. And then the other piece that I wanted to also mention was I thought it was so freaking cool that the one police officer was like, listen, if there's something out there that can come in and take kind of over some of the stuff that we can't handle, I was like, damn, hi Church of Union, hi Mind Alignment Process, because a lot of the problems, like he was saying, it's like it's a mental health case, and like, you know, I'm only there to make sure the situation is safe, right? They don't have this understanding of how do you talk someone down, how do you know when someone's like, you know, how do you help someone heal something or whatever, right? Like it's like you can't if you don't know it for yourself. And so I thought it was really, really interesting that they're really humble enough to say, like, listen, I don't know how to do this piece. And I know this is probably why the problem exists. And so I'm willing to learn here. And I know that there's something that's going to fit here. I just don't know what. And so, like, that was like, hey, call me of like, sounds like we're going to have to, you know, talk to some police stations and see who's interested in partnering, because like, there's an obvious desire to like, know how to have a relationship with the community, and they obviously want to like be people where people can go for guidance and support and healing. Well, that's pretty interesting, and like I'd love to have a police force be looked at as that, and like that's what I think the intention is in God's, in the New Earth, right? I think that's even what Jeff and Shaleia talk about in the New Earth series when they talk about the police. So yeah, I just think it's interesting that this that came up, and that's something that their consciousness is desiring, and open to.
Yeah, and so the thing that stood out for me just in terms of what you've said is that you kind of need to be quite connected to your purpose to understand that there are components that don't fit into your purpose, and that there's somebody else that has that piece, and that they can bring that piece to kind of complete the puzzle. Because again, it's that space of, if it's your purpose, it will be your wheelhouse, and you'll probably feel quite peaceful about it. And there won't be the secondary gain of trying to get attention by taking on things that are not your purpose. So I like the fact that he just said, well, actually, we would welcome if somebody took this piece because it's their purpose and it's not our purpose, but we still want to partner with them.
Yeah, that was like super relieving for me to hear that, like they're desiring extra help here, because like I've seen like in the media, police aren't really trained well to handle people with mental illness, and in a lot of cases they don't have training for like de-escalation in some areas, and like having that would just transform communities and help with so much healing. So there's just like less misunderstandings about people. And yeah. And another thing I wanted to bring up, like that I've been healing myself, is like knowing that I'm going to be received. Like, even if the person I'm talking to isn't receiving what I'm saying or receiving the love that I'm giving, God's still receiving it. And like that's where sometimes like we stop ourselves from giving our gift because we feel like we may not be received. Like we feel like maybe we don't have value to give, but that's just false. That's, you have value since you are created by God with God's value. Like so that's just like a really important piece here to remember, like, of course you will be received.
Yeah, and I also wanted to mention too, like there are towns and communities and things like that who kind of even do some like self-policing in a way. They're like community standards of that, I guess. And it's basically the community comes together and like they all look out for each other, and like, you know, oh, so and so's car, you know, isn't in their garage and like it's not outside their thing anymore. Like just like the community members looking out for each other, which is like an extra set of support for police officers. So like just adding to like what you were saying, Marley, I think it stems from like, you know, if you're not a police officer, just like taking responsibility and recognizing like your police force system isn't your source of your safety, like God is. And so therefore, like, you know, God can move through lots of different people to like support you in your safety. And you know, I think creating systems where a community is like working together to keep the peace with the police system, like that to me feels like a really heavenly experience to live in and be a part of, because like that way the community is being seen as one rather than like having community members being at odds. It's like it kind of reminds me of like a family. Like, you know, if mom and dad are the police officers and like the siblings are constantly in rivalry, like then like mom and dad are going to not have a fun time doing their job, and then the kids aren't going to like mom and dad, and it's just going to create more chaos. But like if everyone just agrees that we're a big happy family and like talk to each other and use mom and dad when a conversation needs to happen in a more mature, appropriate way, let's say, that like that happens, right? But the siblings are, you know, handling things on their own as well in a way that's appropriate. Like it's, to me, that's kind of like what it's like, taking responsibility for ourselves and our actions, and like I think that's the first step in like the support structure that will play out in the new system that I see being, I think I definitely feel like it's changing. I'd have to disagree with the one guy who, you know, Khalida pointed out, said not in my lifetime. He must think he's going to be dying in a couple years, because I personally just don't see that not changing, you know, in a couple years. But yeah.
So that's quite perfect, because that's our next card. Visualize success. See yourself doing well in this situation and have faith in a positive outcome. And I think it's literally what Marley said. It's just like, doesn't matter that I think I'm not going to be received. I need to believe that I'm going to be received. And it might not be that person, it might be somebody else. And it goes back to our conversation just before we went live, in terms of we don't need hundreds and thousands of people watching. We need to just have the intention of healing in the space. And that is going to be the success that we need. And it will bring the people that need to be healed, because it's the intention. If the intention is pure, it cannot be denied. There's no power in the denial. So how are you guys feeling now? We've got about 5 minutes to go. So I just want to check in and see if you feel like that kind of completed it or not, or if there's anything else to add.
I feel really, really peaceful. Thank you. That was so healing. Thank you very much for, you know, everybody.
The other thing that came up in the, and I don't know if this will be like more than the time we have, but the other thing that came up in the video was, I forgot what the question was that a police officer asked about, I forgot what it was, but the host, his answer was, I think you should, okay, what can we do as police officers so that the Black community sees us like differently or something like that, I think somebody asked. And the guy's response, which I'm not like, that's a good answer. But his response was, I think it should start individually. And, he went into like the media, and then one bad thing undertones one good thing. And how can Black juveniles see us as a role model? That was the question. Thank you, Yureen. And he said, like, start individually so that then it can become a collective thing. And the reason why I'm like, I don't know if I like that answer is because, I don't know that police are, what are you going to do? Go hunt down Black children to go hang out with? Like, I just don't know that that's like practically, I'm just saying. I just don't know that practically that's the spirit of it, right? I don't know that it's about like getting more Black friends or something like that, or like, I don't know. So I had something there. I was just like, that's not the greatest answer. Do I have another answer for him? Not at the moment, but didn't feel like that was a complete answer.
Kalita, just
You feel like you need an answer for him?
I think he had a good question.
Yeah, but do you feel like you need an answer, a different answer for him? What control are you hanging on to in this space?
I do feel like you need a new answer, but I'll choose to release control.
Whose job is it to provide the opportunities for all of those things to be seen and felt and heard? It's not your job. You can release the job and you can do the piece that you are called to do.
Right. Take that answer.
I just wanted to add that, like, he did mention along the lines of that's why whenever a police officer is playing with like Black kids in the street, playing like soccer or something like that, that's why it always goes viral, because they're like, whoa, a police officer is actually like, having fun and creating a community there. Honestly, I think there's like the Boys and Girls Club kind of situation. Like if there was some sort of association of young Black kids and stuff, if like police officers were to be like a mentor or a buddy and start doing these kinds of like connections with associations, and like creating relationships there, then that little boy grows up to say, well, hey, I had a big brother who was a police officer, and I know him, and he's in the community I grew up in, and so that changes the perspective. So if like police officers just like found ways to partner with their communities, where there are places like that opportunity, like I think just simple of like, hey, we're gonna all go to a ball game together, or we're all gonna like kick a soccer ball around, or just connection from an authentic level that's off the premise of I'm a police officer, but more off the premise of I'm a man in the community that you're a part of, and oh, by the way, I'm a police officer who's also here to protect you. Yeah,
that's good. That's a better answer, right?
Yeah, that feels good. And on that note, I want to thank all of you for your participation today. And I want to invite everybody to like and subscribe to our Church of Union YouTube channel, where you will see all previous Black Lives Matter conversations. Also, please feel free to share your insights, your thoughts, any questions that could lead to additional conversations around this topic. And we will see all of you next week. Thank you, everybody.